Welcome to a new studio vlog. My name is Roxy van Bemmel and I'm a visual artist. Every vlog I show you a new piece of the works that I'm painting at the moment. I work with oil and they take a long time to finish. I work with multiple paintings at the same time, and this time I finished one painting, or almost finished it, and we're getting all three on new stretchers. The three paintings I'm working on simultaneously were still pasted to the wall with tape, so it was time to put them on some stretchers. I've been in this studio for about 2 years now and previously in another studio, so I have collected quite the amount of stretchers over time. I've not been super happy though with how stiff my stretchers stayed. As the paintings become bigger, I wanted to try something out with the biggest two of the paintings, so I ordered some aluminium frames. They are a bit more expensive than the thicker stretchers, but as it turned out there's a supplier in the Netherlands, so the difference wasn't that big and the quality difference was very big. Hello, it is a new week. I wrote down in my diary that my priority is painting. because I really want to get this new portfolio out with current work and also work that I'm proud of right now. So this week will be filled with mostly painting, and that's my priority. I also stretched this big one, so now I can actually continue on it because I didn't know exactly where the painting would end. It has some tiny folds over here though, but I think I can fix that if I re-stretch this corner, and otherwise it's quite tight. For these ones though, because they're so big, and last time I noticed that these are quite thin stretchers, and I looked at museum stretchers which are a little bit thicker. I've never used those before. I don't know why. It's just like a habit, I think, of using the same ones you've used. But I looked at those and then looked at the aluminium stretchers, and I found out that a really good supplier is actually Dutch. It's based here. And those were not that much more expensive than the museum stretchers. I believe for this size, the museum stretchers would have been about like 80 euros, and the aluminium ones would have been 100 without transport. So we got the aluminium ones. They're from Artel, which I think is quite a good brand since they like make those themselves. And I got this one and the next one, so the big ones, since I know those paintings, like there's only another painting here, but I know those are gonna be like some really nice works, I think. Not that I'm saying this one isn't nice, but this one is a bit smaller, so it can still work with the smaller stretches. So I'm waiting on those to come in, and I'm just going to continue painting on the other ones, so when they do come in I can at least stretch this one and wait for the other painting. But I am excited. I mean, there's a reason I only got the two, because it's quite an investment. But they are ready to come off the wall as well, and especially I think if I work on this size, they need to have like a specific price range, and that does deserve some quality. So yeah, I'm excited to see how they turn out, and if it works really differently than the wooden ones. We'll see. This video is sponsored by myself. My creative course has re-released called Painting Imaginary Friends. It's my most taught workshop in person, and I made it into an online version last year. It's updated with a new module with painting from references as well, with ink and charcoal, as well as some bonus lessons. We're going into the full basics of how to draw a face, what proportions to use, how you make it into 3D, and also how to use acrylics and actually paint the face. It's one of my favorite themes to teach because I think anyone can learn it. It's also fun to go away from the realistic skin tones and realistic proportions and make it your own. This way you always have something to paint whenever you feel inspired, and you don't have to think of a certain thing, because a face is something you can always make up because we see so many of them. This creative course is made for beginners, but if you've never ever held a pencil or brush before, I would recommend also taking my basics course. It goes into mixed media, what brushes to use, and really teaches you like the groundwork. There's an early bird discount until the 25th of May of about 20% off. After that, it will still be available on my website because I found out that doing timed releases does not work for my schedule, but it will just be for the regular price. You can find the link in the description. I loved seeing the results you've made so far. Please keep them coming. I hope you enjoyed this course as much as I enjoyed making it. So have a creative day ahead of you. These are all the skin tones that I've used, but we are going to remove all of these. One, because they are dried out, and two, because I'm gonna work on the darker part of the skin, so I won't need these anymore. And you've seen me do this a lot, but I always use a glass scraper because this is just a piece of glass and then it removes it so easily. I've seen some people work on like paper palettes, but I don't like those. I don't like the feeling. And the glass ones, it's so nice. You can just clean it up and then just start fresh. And then I have this glass jar that I put all my old paint in, and once it's full, I can remove it, but it takes quite some time for it to get full. And that way I don't have to bother with where I'm gonna throw away all this toxic stuff for quite some time. Welcome to another painting day. Yesterday I finished the entire base layer of the body. I'm not entirely happy with it yet. I think it needs a lot more depth. So I'm gonna try to add some today. And I'm probably wait until I have the stretchers and apply a more detailed layer. I have to be patient, can't fix everything in one go. I also want to work on the face. So I think I'm gonna do the face first because I'm looking forward to that the most. As that's more detailed, and then work on the bigger body. We'll see how it goes. And I wanted to show you something that I made. So this is my desk where I film videos for Patreon. This one I made for this month, but that's actually not what I wanted to show you. I wanted to show you this. Look at this cute little bundle. I'm gonna show you in a better direction. Okay, look at this. This is a piece of scrap leather that I had. Details here. Want to look at the details? All this material I still had. This is a thing a metal ring. I have no idea what the word is in English. That I kept from my fashion studies. And if we open it, it is a notebook holder. So I now have a folder for my weird knowledge thing, pens, my diary, or my agenda, and then I also have one for my morning pages. So you get everything out with the elastic, and then this one is for my morning pages. And then you put it in. Like this, and then this one is even simpler. Just put it like this, and then you can close it and put this around it. Oh. Of course, every time I do this for show, it's not working. But anyway, I made this in like 1 or 2 hours, and that's just because the leather was being a nuisance. And it's just from scrap, so I sewed this on, this elastic, and I still have this lying around from some project. And then this is also sewed on, just a piece of the leather as well, just another piece. And this one is just for my stickers and random notes, and it keeps it in quite nicely. I used to have them here, but they kept falling out, and that was really annoying. And I wanted this folder to have handy and bring all the notebooks, but because I kept writing my notes in this book, but then that's just my diary, and I wanted a place to put my morning pages as well, and also a notebook for other random notes. And now I have them all in one place, and I can actually use them for their specific purpose. So that's just what I wanted to show you. And now I will actually write the morning pages because I want to keep up that good habit. Nou, het is toch niet zo slecht als ik dacht. My stretchers came in, so I can finally stretch these big paintings. They're aluminium. They're steel frames, so they're wood and steel, which are supposed to never bend. Let's unpack them and see how they work, how I can attach them, because I have no idea. I got my equipment though. You should be able to put them together just with this thing. Yeah, let's see. So they are quite heavy, but maybe this is just because it's so many packed in one go. So I think people actually use these to save on weight as well when you're shipping. But you know, we'll see when they're all unpacked. So everything is tightened now. I think the corners are square. You can still measure them, but I think they look really good. So let's get it up. Most of the time I stretch paintings before I actually start them, but in this case I painted on the wall, so I had to find out which areas were most important to keep at the corners of the painting. Let's get this painting on its frame. I make sure to put the painting down sort of in the middle, so on average I have the same amount of linen to stretch around the wood on either side. I do know that at one side I had a little bit more left over that wasn't as important for the painting, so I kept it a little bit more off to the other side, and I cut off the excess part so it wouldn't be in the way. Then I put a staple on all 4 corners of the painting, and then I divide all the linen by adding more and more staples and eventually also folding the corners. The device you see me using is making sure that I have enough strength to actually stretch the linen when my hands don't have enough strength. I don't know what the name is in English though, but it is much stronger than a person. Stretching is a little bit of an art form. You have to make sure that you don't stretch too much. I'm still learning personally, so I do sometimes overstretch and then understretch at certain areas, but there's kind of an average that you want in order for the canvas not to wrinkle. Although I have to say that in the end, when you wet the canvas in the back, there's a lot you can fix with those steps, and sometimes you just have to re-stretch the corner or something else. Before I do the corners, I like putting up the painting once more to see if I actually divided the linen in a good way, and then we move on to the corners. It depends on the painting what direction I want the folds to fall into. In case of this longer painting, I preferred having them on the sides of the painting, the shorter sides of the painting instead of the longer sides, but just pick a side and make sure that they make sense. So now we've made sure to get every corner, get it as straight as possible, but still it could be a little bit tighter. What I like doing is spraying the back with water or just using a brush if I don't have a spray bottle, but making sure that it covers everything. So that means you need to get in here with your brush as well. And let it dry overnight, because that makes the canvas really tight. It can overstretch by that, but I've noticed that if the linen shrinks a little bit when it's wet, if it dries, it kind of evens out. So even if it overstretches at the start, it might be okay later. But I think it's actually quite fine. I think this is actually quite fine. It's just the wrinkles underneath because I had it on the wall that I want to get out. So I think I'm going to use some water here, but not make it as wet as I sometimes do, and then it should be fine. I usually use a brush for this so I can really get into those corners. And in the end, I don't think this sponge technique was enough. So I did use a brush. I just did it later. And then it did turn out to be really tight. You can really see the thickness of the stretches here, and I think it just adds this extra layer of depth to the painting. I really prefer it over the thinner ones. These are about 1 centimeter thicker, so about 30%, and it just adds a little layer of strength. So I'm happy with the decisions to go with the thicker stretchers. We're taking a quick detour to Antwerp because I had a live illustration job there and I wanted to take you with me. The next day I had this big motivation to mainly finish this work, and I worked a little bit on the background. So I have been asked by some people to explain a little bit more about what this painting means to me, why I painted it, why I paint certain figures in a certain way. And I have to say, I don't really have an answer yet. I have some themes going on in my head, so I kind of know the general feeling, but I can't put it to words yet. If I could, I would take you along, but I think it just needs some time to settle in my head and to really, I don't know, kind of marinate. And as soon as I try to explain a picture or a painting, then it becomes a story, and a story has a certain beginning and a middle and an end, and I don't really want that yet. I want it to go all places still, and that's why I don't really want to go into what the general themes of this body of work are yet. So I hope for you it's enough to go along with the painting process, go along with the technical details, and see this body of work grow. And as soon as I'm ready to talk about what it's about and why I'm painting this stuff, then I will definitely let you know. Thank you so much for watching this very long studio vlog again. I want to say a special thanks to my patrons that support me every month, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.